Okay,
Oh.
don't look at the answer.
Well, okay, I'm not looking.
Okay.
Everybody look away. Everybody look away.
Right, so you can drip on.
All right, I didn't look. I don't know about you people.
Oh, I tried to take in as much as I
Master Asanga. Oh, do you want to read it for us, Honorable?
Sure. So Master Asanga comes to our rescue to provide some clarity about what the heck mind only is thinking.
I don't see what the heck in there.
Oh.
It's there. It's there. It's implied.
It's the special loan. To provide clarity on the mind only, part of the mind only school's idea of the lack of a self to things. So what's the name of Asanga's text? We covered like 2 paragraphs, so sorry guys.
It's all right.
There were very few questions I could ask.
We didn't name
still
the real name of it in Sanskrit. I'm sure they can figure it out.
Oh, the name of it in Sanskrit.
I
No,
mean,
I don't,
in
I
any
don't do
language.
Sanskrit.
Yana Samuchaya.
No, I don't do Sanskrit.
Something like
Tibetan,
that.
English,
Something
please.
You don't do Sanskrit?
Tibetan and English, please.
What's the question again?
What is the name of the song?
I'm sorry, did you mean Dokme?
Mahayana Samuchaya. Samuchaya.
Is it Mahayana?
Tech dude.
Tech
Tech dude.
But what's it called in Sanskrit? I'm curious.
Put Sanskrit
Oh, I have
in
no
your
idea.
question, and you say you don't do Sanskrit.
I'll get it for you. I think
Put
it's
Sanskrit
Mahayana.
in your question, but you don't do Sanskrit.
Wait, talking about this.
Mahayana Sangraha.
Yeah.
But I had in
Mahayana
parentheses
Sangraha.
in Tibetan and
Mahayana
English.
Sangraha.
Mahayana Sangraha.
Sangraha.
Oh.
Okay, which part of the lack of
Sun
the self to
grabbing
things
beyond
is
us.
being proved?
Sun grappler.
In Tibetan and English, please.
Which part of the lack of
Which
the
part
self?
of
It's
the
hard to
lack
see
of
because
a self being
or maybe
Yeah, there you go.
Can you dig it?
Big it.
Oh, that's
Can you big it?
Well, you got a 50-50 chance, folks.
Which
Yeah,
part of the
right.
lack of a self?
What was the
Got
question?
it. Got it.
What was the question?
Which part of a lack of self to things is being proved?
when?
The label?
What do you mean when? In Master Asanga's text, when you came to our rescue to provide clarity on
Yeah. Can
one
you
part
teach Janae to do that?
of the lack of a self-nature to things,
You have
mind
to
only
have a
school.
special machine.
Maybe we should just go
Does
on
take
here
a
so no
special
one's paying
machine.
attention.
I
It's okay.
think it's the
Actually,
lack
yeah.
of the self to things.
You do need a
No,
special
which
machine.
part of a lack of a self to things is being proved?
At this point. Oh, no question. That's easy.
That's
There
a
were
relief.
3 reasonings, right? Come on, what's it?
Yeah, that is. That exists by definition.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The thing is not itself.
What
things
exists
you
by
do-
definition?
Oh, what is it in Tibetan?
No, what
I saw
what
that.
exists by definition?
The
term.
Oh, the name.
The fact that the name
The
applies
fact
to
that it
you.
applies.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Duh.
I knew that.
Okay.
Ragi Seneki Madrupa.
Once you get that clear, then all you have to deal with is outer objects, which he does next.
Right.
And then you're out. Then you can just start talking about bhakti.
Because of the 3 ways, those are the 2 that are not correct.
He's going to give us 3 reasons for why the second one first, and then we go on to.
That's
Right.
but that's not quite what this.
In the first part, Viceroy is only true. What is the reason given for why it's not the case that the pot belly is named vase?
The potbelly guy. That potbelly.
To call it base without having
What is the
wrong
reason?
base.
Because you have to have a term to.
Yeah, it seems like it's circular in a way.
They
Because it
can't-
doesn't apply.
So
Give
they
him a
don't-
clue from
There's-
Mahayana
there's some-
Sangraha. Give him the first line of Mahayana Sangraha. Because anyway, they
I
won't
know
figure
someone
it
who
out.
knows it.
They won't figure it
Can you
out.
give them the first line from?
They wouldn't figure it out anyway.
It has something to do with low. I'll give you that.
Yeah, lo me.
It says
No, it's not
Minki
Lomai.
Naro Lo Mechir.
Say that.
Yeah.
The
Mingi
name
Naro
cannot
Lo
exist
Mechir.
without the object.
Yeah, you can have the name.
before the
Oh, that's right.
And they can't
It's very
simultaneously
difficult.
happen.
No.
If
Yeah,
it's
It's the opposite of
He said
that.
no mind.
then
You can't have the name.
That's
of
what I
it.
hear. I'm
No.
sorry, everyone talks at once. I can't hear anything. I don't know how you teach this group of unruly cats.
Hey, come on,
Really,
we're
they're
your friends
exploring.
too, you
They're
know.
exploring. Let's Gibson. Can you say it louder?
there's no word become the mic.
Before the,
Or before the mic.
there's no word to be the thing.
Before you call it, your mind couldn't frame the word.
No, other way around.
There's a thing out there that can be
When you
a
call
base
the
before your
base,
mind
call
calls
it
it
a
base.
base, call it a vase.
Yeah, there can be no thing out there called vase before your mind.
Called
Because there's
Called
no
a
state of
vase.
mind that thinks this is that before you've called it a vase.
Yeah.
Seems
Right.
pretty
Can they happen
obvious.
simultaneously?
That's what they should have said.
Did he?
Classic communication.
Right.
The thought to call it a vase wouldn't depend on the word.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the persona. Right?
And just when you're just glancing at the vase, the thought vase would come to your mind before you applied a name to it. That's what they're saying.
My next question.
Okay, the plane has crashed. Let's
Aw.
Kila bumbo she ming
Still the
matape
black box.
kolone.
Again, can you take the plane?
Then when it says lo me, there's no mind.
Uh-huh.
Here's the sentence. Kila bumbo she ming matape. Oh, you want me to put it up here?
Yes, please.
Ming matape nga kong rulne, right? Instead of nga rulne.
There's nothing suitable.
Before, no. Before you apply the word vase, there is no. Before you apply the word, there is no thought that this is a vase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Therefore, the word is not self-existent. Okay.
Yeah.
Before you apply the
definitive, too.
word vase to the pot belly, there is no state of mind which thinks vase.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, we got new input. Yay!
Oh, is this based
New
on that?
errors. I mean, it's much
New
better.
errors.
All different errors.
Yeah. Whose text was that? Your text is terrible.
Yeah.
It gets every other word was misspelled.
We did re-input mine,
Yeah,
but
uh,
I think
And
the
we've
scan is
re-input
rough.
but it's from someone's corrupt
Scan.
typing. So
No, it's not.
I collated the errors together.
If
Okay,
you don't
here we
have
go.
too many notes on this one, you could.
Pani, pani.
Richmond, please
Oh.
read.
Sashi.
Adam, you got the plane. Please correct.
Sangye Shindu Mikte Uwargi Namdak Shingla Chuparsho Idam Guru Radha Mandala Kandiryatayami
Sangye.
Chidam Soki Chognamla Changchu Bardu Dagni Kyapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sanam Ki Drola Pinchir Sangye Druparsho
Sangye.
Chidam Soki Chognamla Changchu Bardu Dagni Kyapsuchi Dagi Chunyen Gipe Sanam Ki Drola Pinchir Sangye Druparsho
Sangye.
Chidam Soki Chognamla Jamshu Bardu Dagni Gyapsuchi Dagi Chinyen Gipe Sanam Gi Drola Pinchir Sangye Druparsho
Shogri smogri.
Rick Pani. Ni.
You have the plane. Please correct it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Kivu chik la wong. Dang. Yan chin. Dang. Nik dong. Chen. Sok min. Nindrawa. Nindrawa. Duma. Dak.
Not D.
Tuma. 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 Dak. Se min. It's hard for me to read the Roman. Ne dak kebu de la nukoi. Wangin juk Wang King juk partel. Dong te.
Jupata.
Jung Bartao. Tun te. Ning te. Tak. Juk pe. Juk shirangi senki. Juk pe.
Okay, good. I just, I feel a little uncomfortable with the last one, and I just want to make sure we got it, okay? Because it's gonna, your whole understanding of the mind-only school forever depends on that, okay? So it said there couldn't Okay, I just want to go through that one again, just so it's in your head. Okay, the first reasoning, 3 reasonings why things can't be called what they're called automatically. First one, I mean, it boils down to his last sentence. There's a lot of sentences before that, it just boils down to this. And this is the gloss of Asanga. Kila bumbo she mingma tape koine. Before you apply the name vase to the thing, okay? There isn't any state of mind that says this is a vase, okay? That's all. If the name were in the thing, then before you give the name, before the mind gets the name would be there. And so it must be coming from the mind, right? And it doesn't exist in and of itself in the object. If roses were always called roses, then they would announce themselves as roses before you thought rose. Okay, got that one? Okay, that's probably the hardest one. This gets easier. Now here's the second reason. And you know, if you're teaching mind only and you get to that difficult idea, and it's one of the 6 flavors. Tani jupe jukshe ranki tseniki madupe.
Right.
Tani jupe jukshe ranki tseniki jupe toa.
Things are empty,
Empty,
all by definition.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Deserving their given name.
Kebu chikla, if you have a single person, okay, and you call them by different names, Ming Min Drawa, Duma, okay, Dakpa.
Numerous, many.
If you apply many different names to the same person, and he takes the case of a worldly god, and I made myself a note, this is not Wang Chuk, it's Wang Bo. So Wang Chuk would be
cool.
Ishvara, but Wang Bo is Indra, okay? Because I get them mixed up. And then Gajin, for many years I translated as 100 gifts. But this jin is not the jin that means gift. It's the jin in Sun Jinba,
Regret.
which means to destroy.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So he destroyed 100 cities. So he was called Shatkra. And then it became Shakra. So the Sha means 100. Shat came into Kentu and then came into century. Shat came to Kar, came to Kent, came to century. Around the time of Shakespeare, the Kar changed to Sa. Kentum in Latin. Mingtong Chen means the guy with 1,000 eyes.
Right.
So remember this chakra is called
Sahasrara.
Sahasrara. What's the ahar?
Yeah, that's what you call
Spokes.
it.
Yeah, okay. So Sahasra. Sahasra means 1,000. Aksha means eye. Again, it's the German Augen.
Auge.
Yeah, or ocular in English. Okay. Okay. So anyway, if you give one dude 3 different names, okay, and if those names apply by definition, then there should be 3 dudes, I think. Deda kebu de la ngupa wandu jupata. Then here's ngupa wonki. Okay. We had it in a ngupa top shuki jepak. Ngutop jepak. Ngupoi topki. Ngupoi top shuki.
Really?
By the nature of the thing.
Okay, right, yeah, of course.
And I was explaining it to V. We were having coffee together.
That's cute.
Just tell me what's going on. I'm saying, well, there's this thing called Ngutoki Jipak. And we live on the rim. We live on the top of this mountain. And oftentimes I see smoke out in the wilderness, and I call the police, and I'm the lookout.
Yeah.
You know? And it's happened like 3-4 times. And I can see it first, and it's going to burn our house first. So, you know, I'm very I'm proactive about it. And I said, when you see smoke, then ngopotopki, by the nature of the thing,
It means that there's fire.
it means there must have been a fire there. And that this is the same kind of idea, ngopo wangki, by the power of the thing, jupata. Okay, are you telling me when you give those names apply to that person by their nature?
Right.
They had to be called Shakra or God Okay, are
He
you telling me
too,
that?
right?
And then
Are you
Juke is
saying
implied
plural
there.
there or singular?
Say again?
Are you saying plural there or singular?
Well, he said names. Ming De Dan.
Did done.
Okay, those names
But to
must
the person-
apply to those, to that guy. Yeah, those names must apply to that guy by the nature of the name. You know, and nobody else could be called Chakra. Okay. Well, why do you say that? Why do you say they have to apply to him, like by the power of the thing? You know, and by the power of the Dun De Ming De Da Juk Bei Juk Shin Ragi Tsen Gi Bei Chin. Dun De means those guys, that object, that guy.
Oh,
That guy
object preceding the name.
Dude.
is what the name applies to. He exists as what the name applies to
By nature.
by definition. Okay. Now it gets easier. Okay, and probably this is the only logic of the three that you will remember in the future. Okay, if you say yes, they had to apply by nature, by the nature of the thing. That guy had to be called by his nature, in the way that smoke is considered by nature the source, the result of fire. Tuna Ming Duma Yimbatar, in the same way that there are multiple names, then there should be multiple things named. In the same way that there are multiple names, then there should be multiple objects of the names.
Yeah.
In which case there would be three different guys. But it's all three different names for the same guy.
Right. Okay.
All right. So if the name applied automatically, then
There should be three gods.
you know by the power of the guy being named, then there should be three different names. There should be three different guys. Okay. Jukshi Duma, Jukshi Dunyang Tuma Yimba Talo. So there must be multiple objects to which the name is applied. Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Please read. By the way, is this correct? Oh, that's okay. I'll go for it. Yeah.
Etar telwale. Don chik mingdu men jung shir. Rangit senki madrute. Don chik pote tu mar mingyu chiro.
Good. Okay. From this kind of absurd statement, okay, from this kind of absurd consequence, detar telwale, we can learn. Okay, we learn something. We get a conclusion, and then he goes on to the third logic. See, Rekpasumba. We learn that that one object of the name does not become multiple. Okay. Okay. Because I'm sorry, the names do not apply to many things. I'm sorry, Dun Chik Ming Dume. Many names do not apply to a single object by definition. Because if it did, because the one guy doesn't become three. Therefore, the names don't apply to him by definition. Because if they did, he would become multiple. And he doesn't. Okay, that's all. They're just wrapping it up. I'll say it again. From this absurd statement, we get a conclusion. What's the conclusion? We decide that a single object cannot be the thing named with multiple names by definition, because that single object doesn't become many objects. Okay, that's all. So the second one is easy. Probably the one you'll remember when you teach it in the next Longren retreat, right? Word or whatever.
Well, someone would just come back, with Billy Bob Thornton or something like that,
Oh, it's a good
Someone who's
point.
got three names.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
Okay, go. You got the plane.
Rick
I got the aeropress.
Kebu Mindrawa, Nila, Chashi, Shemindrawa, Chiktakpe, Sing, De Tunde, Nila,
Okay.
She
That's-
cheated it.
Mu, Wang, Yim, Jukbartel, Don Mindrawa. Did you hear
Jukbartel.
that? Did you hear that? Don Mindrawa, Nipo Te Ming Chikpo, Jukpe, Juk Shirangi, Ne Luki Wangi, Jukpe,
Hey.
This is the opposite argument. Anyone want to just guess? without reading it? This is the opposite argument.
Oh, if you had two objects with the same name.
Good.
If you have
Yeah.
multiple names.
What are you saying?
If you had two guys
Three
both called
guys all
Tashi,
named Bob.
Yeah, that's what I
Right,
was
they would
thinking.
all have to,
Bob and Bob.
they should have
then they
different
should be
names.
one person.
Yeah.
Or they should have, yeah.
Okay? If you have two different guys named John, then they should both be the same person. Okay? If names apply in and of themselves. And he's been flirting with different words for in and of themselves.
Yeah.
He used Ngopo Wanki,
Uh-huh.
he used Ranki Tseniki, and here he says Ranki Neluki Wanki. Okay? And so he's kind of educating us to different expressions for self-existent. Okay? He's giving us different ways of saying self-existent. By the nature of the thing. Nupa Netsuki, by the nature of the thing. Nupa Neluki, by the nature of the thing. Rangi Teniki, by definition. Okay? And we had one more before. Oh, Nupa by the nature of the thing. Okay? So here we go. Rikpa Sumba. Here's the third logic. Gebo Mindawa Nila. If you have two different guys, okay? And you give them both the same name, Dawa, one same name, which is Tashi. Okay, so here's the Tashi and Tashi delay,
Yeah.
if you wanted to know.
Yeah.
And this is a big joke because we learned this many years ago, 30 years ago, or I don't know,
1998.
50, oh, yeah,
20 years ago. We were in the monastery. Geshe Rinchen taught us the mind-only school. About 50 people went, I think, the second year.
Yeah, I couldn't go there.
And he taught us day after day after day after day, and he kept mentioning Tashi. Then we went to visit the Tantra college to visit my teacher, who was the abbot. And I took all my students, and we had a nice chance to see the Tantra college, and we saw the 3 retreat facilities. And then the vice abbot stood up and said, "My name is Tashi." And then everybody goes, "Ah!" And then he's like, what's going on here? Because he's been talking about Tashi for a week, he was a little offended, I think. Say, Ming De Dunde Nila Nguwangi Jupatal. Are you telling me this name, Tashi, applies to those two objects by its own power? Ngopoi Wanki. Ngopoi Wanki. Nguwangi Jupatal. Why do you say that? Because the fact that those two different objects are named with the same single name exists by definition. Okay, they are applied by definition. Okay, Wangi Dubecha, according to you. And here's the gotcha. Here's the gotcha moment.
You're all right with that.
He's all excited. Go ahead.
Duna. Ning chik ba tar den ni kyang chik du telo.
Hello.
Telo.
Get your T's. Don't aspirate your T's. Okay, tar. Ming chi pa tar.
Chik ba tar.
Okay. If you agree, then in the same way that there is only a single name, there must only be a single person being named. Okay, according to you, if you agree. Okay? If the name applies automatically, then as there is only one name, there should only be one person. Okay, but there's not. There's two people. Okay, all right.
It seems to be very profound
I don't
because
like
it
it.
doesn't convince me a whit. I mean, there's
It
someone
is.
else
It's by the way. It's
Elizabeth
correct.
Ann Greer.
It's correct and it's
And
it's
she's
deceptively simple. It sounds simple, but it's correct and it's profound.
Is that correct?
Yeah. And we must be doing it. We must be thinking names apply automatically,
So
which
guess-
is probably why we get angry when someone criticizes Neil Young.
So, should we be using a different word for same? Because it's not just that the sound of the name is the same, but it's this particular exact name that this one has can't belong to something else. It's
I think your language can reflect that. The words you choose in your translation can reflect that feeling, and you
is
can
that the thing though? Is that the
you
thing
can
that we say?
you can choose to emphasize that feeling. That's okay. I think it is. Yeah, it's okay. But you have to. It's meant to provoke you into thinking about how you name things, and how you think those names are natural. You know, you listen in the radio in the morning. You listen to the Democrats and the Republicans talk about the speech last night.
Yeah.
The same speech. I mean, if you listen to each of them separately, you wouldn't believe they're talking about the same speech, you know. But they are. You know, so there must be some naming different going on. It was idiotic, and then some people say it was brilliant, and then you're like, were they listening to the same thing?
Is there a difference here, and is he talking about it between the thing deserving the name or the name deserving to be given to the thing?
I think it would be more than the thing deserves to be called what it is, something like that.
Okay, so both of these things
Yeah, I
deserving
think-
that singular name.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Did you read this part? No.
Det har till wale tun ni på te chun chen. Ming chik po te mjuk pe mjuk shirang di zen madrute. Q mindra we tade yin be chiro.
Good. He does the same pattern. He gives the logical reason, he finishes, and then he wraps up. And he concludes the same way he did last time. What did we learn from this Tengger? Okay, we had exactly the same parallel here. See?
Mm-hmm.
What did we learn from this
Yeah.
Tengger? Did he do it the first time? No, he
No.
didn't. No. Okay. So what did we learn from this absurd statement? Where are we?
It's up.
Did I go too far?
Yeah, I think it's up.
Oh yeah. What did we learn from this Tengyo? We learn that, and then he goes into a syllogism. Okay, let's take those two objects, meaning
The name of the thing?
the two guys who
Yeah.
had the name Tashi. It means the two dudes.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, let's take those two dudes. Okay, they are not what receives the single name by definition. Okay, why? Because they are. Somebody translate this.
Separate and different things.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's all.
They're
They are
Different
different
sound.
entities. They are different entities.
Entities.
Okay, all right.
Got
They are
it.
separate entities. Okay. Now he goes back to that idea. There's a disagreement between the sutras and the mind-only school about the status of the thing given the name. Is it a shindok or is it a rangdok? Is it a archetype or is it an example of the archetype? Okay, an expression of the archetype. Yeah. Okay, go.
On kyang donde pa tarna
Tar.
tarna pumpa shepe dre ngu
Dai.
drai dai ngu ki juja rang ki tsene ki drupna pumpa nam pe lo kiewa te dandrel jepa lami tupe kunyu kyang wang shela ton dir wa be pompe mingjuk be shir lang sul tarangi tseniki drupala de ta bui kyun me chema yang.
Yeah, good. You have to be careful on your first columns, whether it's a T or a K. Okay. Okay. Unkyang, but Dodepatana, if we're going to go back to the Sutra school, okay, Bumpashipe Dayanguki Juja, if it were the case that the thing which receives the name vase, okay, existed by definition. Okay, okay. Then when the mind pops up, when the thought pops up that says, oh, this is a vase, okay, then that would have to happen without depending on having made any connection with the sound. Okay? That kind of kyun, yekyang, there is that problem. there is the problem that it wouldn't depend. Okay, and I'll go over it again.
The name wouldn't depend on the sound.
That the arisal of the thought, this is a vase, would have
Depend
no
on the word.
connection to a name.
The sound, yeah.
Okay, there's that problem. Okay, if it existed by definition, if, as the mind-only school says, the thing were the object of the name by definition, then there would be the problem then. Okay, but Wang She la Don Dirwa de Bombay Mingjubi Shir Nangsil Tar Rangitseniki Tubadil Tabula Kyunme. But we can say that when the sensory consciousness, okay, when the pot belly appears to be the object of the name vase, okay, appears to be the object of the name vase, for that to exist by definition, that's no problem for them. That's not a problem for them. Okay. The fact that it appears to be what's given the name vase by definition is not a problem. Okay. The fact that the expression could exist by definition is a problem. Sorry.
Then the other,
That
the other way
yeah,
around.
that
That the parts exist by definition is not a problem
The
for them.
that the thing is
Yeah.
that the thing is called what it is by definition is not a problem for them. That the thing that the archetype could exist by definition is a problem for them.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
got it?
Yeah.
Okay, but the fact that it's named what it is not a problem for them.
Fine, good.
More specifically, the fact that it appears to be the basis of what it's called is not that exists by definition. That it appears to exist by definition, that's not a problem.
Right.
Okay, so you have to work with that. That's the basic. For them, archetypes existing by definition is a problem. But the thing appearing to exist by definition is not a problem because it's real. The expression is real. For them, existing by definition is a synonym for real. Okay, it's natural. Please go ahead.
Nam rikpe te dry ke par ye ni nu par rikpe pu ning gompa yin.
Yeah, I worked on this. I thought it was a problem in the text, but it's not. And I'm not sure about the spelling still. I studied it for a long time. I can't tell if someone's nose was dripping when they printed it. You know, there's a line across the B. I don't know. We could take a vote in all of his texts. So, you know, if you're working on Choni Lama text, it would behoove you
I did.
to create a folder of all the texts that we have by him
Yeah.
and see how he typically uses this expression. So anyway, the Namrikpas,
The mentalists.
yeah, the mentalists, good, meaning the mind-only school, they can't make this kind of distinction. They don't want to make this kind of distinction that the sutrists make about the archetype not existing by definition, but the expression existing by definition. They don't want to talk about this kind of distinction. Okay.
Gosh, we're talking about the archetype here as Da, right?
Da is the word. No,
Yeah.
Da is the word. It's not the archetype. The archetype.
When you think to yourself, coffee cup. When you think to yourself, vase.
Well, yeah, what you think of in your mind when you say vase in your mind is archetype. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering how the sound notes are probably. I mean, the relationship between the sound and I don't want to derail us or sidetrack this, but
The thought in your mind, vase, has
Link
to
to the
somewhere
word.
link to a word.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
What's the nature of that word is a debate about the kunshi. You know, can it deal with groups of names and letters?
Right,
Right? And we said it can't, right?
it can't, no.
Yeah.
It's part of what it can't.
Yeah.
Meaning
Okay.
the
That's another story.
objects it can't apprehend.
Sorry.
So I get stuck after that. Rigbe Pool ne Gopayino. I think it means they offer reasons why it can't be, and they try to deny it, deny that idea of the sutras that you can make this distinction. Okay, they cannot accept this distinction, and so they offer reasons to deny it. I believe he's playing here with the word "but" or "put."
To spit. To
Which
reject.
means to reject. Yeah. And pool, you can offer reasons, but then this would not be instrumental. Rikpa pool is an expression, but Rikbe pool is not an
Reject
expression.
your reason.
But Rikbe pu is an expression, which means pu. You know, it means
How do you spell
P-
poo?
P-H-U-D.
P-H-U-D. But, you know, that means somebody mistook the D for an L a long time ago and carved an L. So anyway, the point is clear. The point is clear. They don't want to make this distinction, and they use logic to disprove it. Okay.
Upagama.
They use these three logics, right? I mean, maybe it relates to these three logics. Okay, they use logic to disprove these concepts. Okay, they give their own logic, and I believe he's referring to the three logics. Okay? But you can make that connection lightly. Okay, because it might refer to other logics. Okay. Anyway, it gets less weird. Here we go.
Jang sa dang du wa ni le kyang te ndui rikpa she te chu shen lam jarwar jiao.
Okay, Changsa,
Bodhisattva level?
Yeah.
Bodhisattva Bhumis,
Bhumis.
another text by a Sangha.
Oh, the compendium. Yeah.
And this is Tekdu, okay?
Yeah.
This Dua is Tekdu,
Mhm.
Mahayana Sangraha.
Okay.
Okay, so these two texts,
Take these two
okay, repeat this kind of logic that we've given you here, okay? And you can apply it to other objects other than vases or tashis or, you know, it applies to other kinds of objects also. Okay?
Yeah.
Other stuff. It refers to other stuff also, not just guys named Tashi or vases. Okay. Okay.
Are they making a distinction there? I mean, is it chus in things or is it chus in all things?
Other stuff.
Just
It applies to other stuff too, because you got to cover people and things because tashis come up and vases come up. So you got whatever word you choose for chu, it has to cover tashis and bumbas. Okay. Other stuff too. Other objects. He
Yeah.
did refer to tashi even as an object, right? So that's okay. As a dun, he referred to tashi as a dun. Okay. Okay, go.
ona rikpa te ta ki ngo dang kefar la kun tak pe kun tak rangi tseneki madrupa tok nu kyang suksok shiro tun ki tongwa jitar tok nu shena.
This is why I love Choni Lama. He thinks like a Westerner, to be frank. Tsongkhapa's writing is much more intuitive. He makes great leaps of imagination. And Choni Lama just slogs through point by point, and he takes the trouble to segue. Segue means make a connection to the next topic. Okay? He's smooth. He has nice segues. He's almost like a Princeton professor, you know. And so it's a very comfortable for a Westerner to read Choni Lama. And I think we should translate his whole thing. You know, I have his 12 collected works above my bed because I want the blessing. It's the only thing I have above my bed, you know, is his 12 works. So, you know, very eminently translatable. You know, I'm working on the Diamond Cutter. We're working on the Diamond Cutter commentary and the Heart Sutra commentary, which we will finish within the next 6 months. The 2 books. But I love this. I just love it. It's brilliant. Okay, it's because it's Western. Okay, well then, you can use the logic you just gave us. Okay,
That logic.
to to, and using it, you will be able, nu,
Yeah.
to figure out,
Yeah.
tok, that when you go applying names to the main thing and to the characteristics, okay, those those name nominalizations,
Uh-huh.
those namings, okay, mean kuntak, okay, and here is the first time anyone's mentioned the mind-only schools kuntak, and apparently it's not a big subject in these presentations of the mind-only, but it's a beautiful subject in the Shenzhen text, the text that the Shenzhen people are doing, Yuanzi. Okay, so anyway, Rangichani Bantupa, we can understand that the application of names to objects, whether it be to the main object or to its characteristics, what are the three characteristics typically listed?
Starting, just staying and stopping.
Yeah, the starting, the remaining, and the stopping of the thing. Okay, well, okay, we get it. We're okay with that. But what kind of logic? How are we gonna figure out? What kind of reasoning are you gonna give us that we can figure out what?
Emptiness?
The emptiness of
Emptiness
other
is
objects.
not-
Yeah,
objects?
how physical
Things have no
Matter.
self-nature.
is empty of, devoid of, and here's a good place to use devoid.
Don't.
How physical matter and others. By the way, this is a standard term for shija.
It's just a normal thing.
Yeah, starting with stuff and everything else.
Form and other stuff.
You know, physical stuff and everything else. It's a typical word for all the stuff in the universe. Just
Sukso.
get used to that. Sukso
Sukso.
means shija.
Yeah.
That's good.
Starting with this cup, going on up to the, blah blah. Okay? Chiru dunki. Ki towa. Devoid of. In English you need to use the genitive. In English you have to use of. In Tibetan you have to use instrumental. Okay? Devoid of what?
Being outer object.
Yeah, being our object. Now, give us some reasons for that. We appreciate the three reasons for why things are not called themselves automatically.
Right.
Now, can you do the same for us with about outer objects, and then we understand what the mind only is all about.
Wow.
Okay, that's a
That's
cool
pretty
segue. Nute, I can do that. Okay. Yeah, you can figure that out.
It's possible.
Go ahead.
Shema takpa tar sukso rangjin tope shenshir rangi seniki drupar kekpana detse nangwa tar shenpe topa de shenyula drupar dupla.
Yeah, now, it's a brilliant segue. He continues the segue. And he says, if the names don't apply by definition, okay, he ties it to the first one, the first kind of emptiness. If the names don't apply by definition, then there's a mistake going on, and he ties it to the one before, which is also brilliant. Which you should learn to do when you teach it. Okay, like they're not two separate thoughts. They're not two separate concepts. The fact that names don't apply naturally, and the fact that things are not outer objects, the way they appear to be naturally in the kunshi, are connected. And so it's very nice if you can. This is brilliant. Okay, this is beautiful. Okay, I haven't seen it elsewhere. Okay, and it's a little tricky, so you got to sit with it for a while. Okay, why his first three proofs apply to his proofs about outer objects?
We're about to see, right?
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe he makes a little bit of a big jump here, but I think it's cool that he wants to try.
6 more minutes.
I think it's sexy that he wants to tie them together, and probably they do tie together at some point. In the same way that the 8 differences between the Temgyuwa and the Ramgyupa all tie together by one common theme of things don't exist.
By definition.
Is it by definition? I forgot what he said yesterday. Okay, Shema Takbatar, as I just explained. You see, he's tying it back. Matar means as I just. It's an idiot for as I just. Just. Shema Tak. Okay. As I just. And that's Takba, and you don't. Therefore, you
time
have
up
to
with the
say
rope.
takpa. It's not takpa. It's takpa. Okay. There's takpa. Everybody wants to say takpa all the time. For RTAG. Okay,
Right.
here's your chance.
Knock
Ta.
yourself out.
Second call.
Get it out of your system.
Yeah. This is the last takpa you'll meet for a long time. Okay. All the other ones are takpa. Okay, T. Tak.
Right.
Okay. That is why an Indian sound like that, because they are not aspirating anything. Give me a cup of tea and hand me the pen. Okay, they are first column everything. You can sound like an Indian just first column everything, and you'll get it by. You can talk on the phone in India, they won't know who it is. Okay. Talk but
All the stuff in the world.
Sukso, yeah, good. I'll kiss you, but you're too far away. Ranzin Toto Shenshie. The misperception, right? Without the S, which holds on to it, okay, and feels a certain way about it, okay, Shemba, right? Get that Shemba down, okay? It doesn't mean always attachment. In the study of perception, it means to feel a certain way about it wrongly.
Right.
Okay, and shenshir is what you feel about. Okay,
Oh, the object that you're
Shenshir.
feeling about.
Okay. Yeah, that you're having a feeling about.
Change.
The blue that you're having a feeling about it, that it's
Coming from it's an outer object.
that it's an outer
Right,
object.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
And then it's
If-
different.
yeah.
Right.
Okay, shenshir. Rangiteni Kitupa Kekpana, if you deny that it could be the object of your wrong feeling by definition,
Right.
he's trying to desperately to tie those two
Yeah.
ideas together. He brought back Rankitseni Kitupa.
Yeah. To tie
Okay,
it together.
he's not talking about Shirodun.
Outer objects.
He's like, let's tie it back to that last one, by nature, by definition. Okay, so if things were the objects that get the names they do by definition, was the last one. Now he switched it over to if things were what you think they are by definition. Okay, that you feel they are by definition. He wants to get the definition in there. They'd say Nawatar Shembe Topa. Once you kekpa that,
Deny it.
Once you deny.
yeah, once you disprove that it could be what you feel it is by definition, meaning an outer object. He's gonna go there. Okay. Once you disprove that, then you prove that the wrong idea, which has a feeling that the thing exists as it appears, right? Who had that as a vocabulary item?
I didn't. I think.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. There's a feeling that it must be as it appears to be, meaning what? As an outer object. Because the fact that names apply to their objects was also something you had a feeling about. You got it? He's tying them.
Sure.
He's tying them together. Shed Nawatar Shemba Tope. That then you can prove that you are mistaken towards what you feel about what you feel. Okay, that it's an
Right.
outer blue.
Yeah.
Okay, in the same way that you were mistaken about how the word tashi applies or how the word vase applies. Okay, cool. It's brilliant. I like it. Anyway, okay, go.
They drupe toki te tar nang wei wang she nang.
Just unaspirated. The tar.
Yeah,
Oh.
dark.
I tried really hard.
It's
They-
okay.
they
It'll
tar
come.
Nang wei wang she nang kyang rang yi ki nang yu la tru pardu.
If you can prove that the way we feel about an object as somehow existing by itself, okay, then you can go on to your sense consciousnesses, less theoretical and more concrete. Okay, once you prove that your feeling is wrong, then you can go down to the sense consciousnesses
So that they're wrong.
and understand that they're wrong when they think that the blue is outer.
Right.
Okay, because in this school, we mainly the kunchi is dealing with duns, wongs, and bakchaks. What was that? The five sense objects.
The
five sense
powers.
And the
and
two nets, two old
Fish.
pieces of fish.
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Okay, okay. So once you establish that your feeling is wrong about what appears to it, you can establish that your sense consciousness are wrong about what appears to them, which is outer objects.
1 minute.
So he just segued. Okay, and then do not keep going. Let's see if we can cut this one.
Sokinampa Sharwa De Chiro Dun Dun Ki Rangdwe Namwa Surte Ne Sharwa Mani.
Okay, tape tubna. If you prove that the sense consciousness is mistaken, okay, towards its object, towards what it thinks it sees, nangyu, then wangshe lang numbo soki number sharwa de, then the appearance of a aspect of blue to the sense consciousness, okay, that appearance. Sharwa here is the same as nangwa.
Yeah. The
Don't
non-fuzzy
forget. Okay?
aspect,
And another tense of sharwa is charma.
Char.
Apostrophe ch. Okay, so just get used to that. When things like blues appear to the sense consciousness, okay, chiro tunki rangde namatsoten sharamayan, they don't appear in the sense that an outer object is sorte. You know these two pieces. You've never seen them together.
It's like this.
This way,
Famous to-
this way.
But they're directing your mind towards
Yeah, usually you're directing your mind, right?
Right.
But here it's like the outer object
appearance of it
is,
is directing your mind,
At you.
it's
Yeah.
not aiming an appearance at you.
dictating.
It's not aiming an appearance at you, okay? As it's not that there's an outer object which is talking to you. I'm an outer object, okay? That's what it says. It's not that it's presenting to you. It's not the lie is not coming from the object. The lie is not coming from the object. It's sorte. It's not coming from an outside object. You know, oh look, I'm an outer object. It's not talking to you like that.
So, Geshe,
So
Nangwa
they-
and Sharwa, are they
Almost
exact
synonymous.
synonyms, or do we say here arises?
No, never arise
Never
here.
arises?
For the mind, no.
For the
The emphasis of Sharwa in the mind is never the emphasis it is with the sun.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That's we're a couple minutes over time.
We're gonna stop there, and we'll come back to it. Okay.
Someday.
We're halfway through an important thought.
And we're 20 pages away from the end of term 3.
Your text is hard. What can I say?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying.
I have a feeling we'll speed up because what could be harder than these two subjects?
Well,
Don't say
Yeah,
that.
you never know. But,
Fast words.
I don't mind. The more valuable stuff goes slower.
yeah. This is a cool book.
It does. It does. The more valuable stuff goes slower.
Great, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
In
not.
fact, great.
It's really helping with his book.
Both great.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff we're getting here is helping us understand his book. Okay.
And
If I understood.
probably sets us up to understand my book eventually.
When his book gets to something coherent,
It's not. It's
Be like,
we'll
oh,
be
yeah.
we'll be in a. I don't know. I haven't looked ahead that far. I'm hoping. I'm assuming. It's very frustrating. I last night I almost couldn't go on. It was the 38 qualities of the Jains, and I was just getting a headache. I actually got a headache, and then I got grumpy, and then I said I got to stop this because V's coming pretty soon.
Owls are landing on lambs.
Sangye shingdu mikte uargi Jokun namdak shingma chuparsho Idam guru ratna mandalakam niyatayami Digewokun Sunam yeshe tsoksoshim Sunam yeshe lejungwe Tampar kunyi topar sho
Schmoogity schmoo. By the way, I really encourage each translator, put a note here, stopped here, term 4.
Oh yeah.
I want you to, each of you do it. Oh, what's wrong with you? It doesn't want to save it.
Right,
I'll
protected.
work on it later. But please mark where you stopped, okay? Because you're getting paid to do that in the next, how many weeks we give them?
6 weeks after.
6
this.
weeks. You
After
got 6
today.
weeks from today. We want term 4 in my hand, in his hands, okay?
Yeah.
So you got to mark where term 4 stopped.
Okay. Sure.
All right.
Thank you, Gershon.
You're very welcome. Thank you for thinking. You can't-